Alright, so this is my Kite Runner analysis. To start off with a summary, The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini is a heartbreaking novel that depicts life in Afghanistan and America during the 1970s from the perspective of a young boy named Amir. Amir, the son of a well-respected and wealthy man, is faced with the struggles of upholding his status as a Pashtun in Afghanistan and staying loyal to his befriended Hazara servant Hassan. When given the decision to prevent Hassan from being raped by the ruthless Asif, Amir looks the other way and sacrifices for his father's affection, which sends him down a path of guilt that plagues him for the rest of his life and drives his every action, including working to send Hassan, a constant reminder of his guilt, away. Due to the Soviet invasion in Afghanistan, Amir and his father, Baba, seek asylum in America, which provides Amir with a place to bury his memories. In America, Amir finds a wife and his relationship with Baba strengthens up until his death, where not soon after Amir receives an offer, a way to be good again, that requires him to return to the place in which he fled. In his journey back to Afghanistan, Amir learns that Hassan was killed by the Taliban and left behind a son named Sohrab, who was being held as a slave by none other than Asif himself. In order to seek redemption for his betrayal to Hassan, Amir comes full circle and confronts Asif, which ultimately ends in a complex journey of Amir taking Sohrab back to America. Overall, Hosseini teaches us that guilt is a driving force of humanity, and guilt can lead us on a path to redemption. In one of the most defining moments of the book, Amir states that it was a look I had seen before. It was the look of a lamb. In this, Hosseini compares the look that Hassan exhibits during the scene in the alley to the look of a lamb before slaughter. Hassan didn't struggle nor whimper, similar to the lamb that accepted that he was going to die. This comparison serves a dual purpose. On the one hand, Amir sees Hassan as a sacrificial lamb that Amir must surrender in order to achieve a higher purpose, aka to win the affection that he so deeply craves from his father. On the other hand, Hosseini compares the look of the lamb that Hassan expresses to signify Hassan accepting his cruel fate, and yet another sacrifice that he will make for the sake of Amir. Overall, this metaphor is significant to the work because it conveys Amir's selfishness through allowing Asif to rape Hassan even though he had the power to prevent the act, while at the same time highlighting the magnitude of Hassan's loyalty in a heartbreaking way. Another symbol is, in Chapter 7, Hassan commits the ultimate sacrifice for Amir in order to ensure that Amir would receive the blue kite that would save his relationship with Baba. The color blue represents trust and loyalty, two traits that define Hassan, and in the book, the blue kite symbolizes the sacrifice that Hassan made for Amir because of his unwavering loyalty to him. Through this symbol, Hosseini comments on the extent of Hassan's loyalty through giving Amir the blue kite and honoring this sentiment, for you a thousand times over. Hosseini also highlights the sort of detrimental idea that true sacrifice is being completely selfless for the person you love. In contrast, the end of the book depicts Amir and Sohrab kite flying with a green kite. The color green is said to represent renewal, life, and growth, something that both Amir and Sohrab are in search of. The green kite is symbolic of a renewal of life and a new beginning for Amir and Sohrab, and it also marks an important shift for Amir's character. At the beginning, it was inconceivable for Amir to be a kite runner, but this scene shows Amir's shift from being a selfish person to a more selfless person, as well as his adoptive qualities of Hassan. Through the symbol, Hosseini also conveys that true redemption can lead to new beginnings and freedom. Another literary device is irony. In this scene, Hosseini uses verbal irony to convey the frustrations that Amir feels because of his consuming guilt. As Amir pelts Hassan with pomegranates, he accuses Hassan of being a coward because of his inability to fight him back. However, Amir is truly calling himself the coward because he is frustrated that he turned a blind eye in the alley with Asif and Hassan and betrayed the only person who he truly loved. And this irony scene emphasizes the idea that guilt can drive you mad if you do not work to make good on your guilt. Another later device is foreshadowing. When Hassan signs up for Amir after Asif threatens them both, Asif makes a promise to them that he would get his revenge, not only to Hassan but Amir as well. Flash forward some 20 years, and Asif honors his promise by keeping Hassan's son as a slave and finally facing Amir one-on-one. Hosseini's use of foreshadowing both shows the cyclical way that life works as well as a different perspective on redemption through Asif. On one hand, Amir facing Asif emphasizes how life comes full circle, because similar to that day in the alley, Amir was too much of a coward to defend himself and Hassan. However, when back in Afghanistan, Amir is once again in the same position and has the opportunity to make a different choice, a more selfless choice. On the other hand, Hosseini shows how redemption to Asif is about maintaining power over those beneath him, and to Amir it is making good out of his guilt to Hassan. Through this, Hosseini expresses how redemption is different to every person, and it may not always be just. Text to self connection is, I would say, an important text to self connection that I took from the Kite Runner is Baba's vow to making good out of his guilt for committing the ultimate sin and not telling Amir or Hassan that they were brothers and that he was Hassan's biological father. Similar to Baba, I had made mistakes in my life, but instead of letting the guilt drive me into madness and selfish acts like Amir, I try to make good out of my guilt and give as much as I can to those who need it and those who I love and strive to be a truly good person. Because of this connection, I believe that I, as well as others who may share the same connection, can understand the reasons why Baba made the decisions he made. Along with this, I think that this text to self also contributes to the idea that guilt is a driving force of humanity, and that as humans we are all working to make good out of our guilt, which is what Baba did through his acts of building the orphanage and helping his community, and what I do in helping / giving to those around me. Another text is the tragedy of Othello is similar to the Kite Runner because loyalty is a deciding factor in the story. Desdemona's unwavering loyalty and love, as well as other factors, ultimately led to her murder by Othello himself. Similar to this, Hassan remains loyal to Emir despite his cruel and condescending treatment towards him because of his desire for Emir's friendship. The presence of loyalty in both demonstrates that loyalty can hurt characters but also define true sacrifice. Another text is clothes. Clothes in the Kite Runner are similar because they depict life in America. Similar to the loss of Samida's husband in America, Baba struggles with being an immigrant in the place he once admired and going from a high position in Afghanistan to living as a lower class citizen. This connection shows that moving from a place you've known your whole life to somewhere else can be complex and can influence the way you live your life. A Text-to-World connection is in Chapter 13. Soraya states, their sons go out to nightclubs looking for meat and get their girlfriends pregnant. They have kids out of wedlock and no one says a goddamn thing. Oh, they're just men having fun. I make one mistake and suddenly everyone is talking Ning and the Moose, honor and pride. And I have my face rubbed in it for the rest of my life. In this, Soraya highlights a double standard that exists between men and women in Afghan society, which our society can relate to. Especially in today's society, women are still seen as less than men and held to a different standard. A direct example of this would be the Blasey Ford and Kavanaugh case, where Ford was ridiculed for coming forward with her sexual assault, while Kavanaugh was praised and supported. This text-to-world shows how double standards between men and women can be seen in both societies, and how society can influence and affect the decisions and perspectives of characters. The Kite Runner primarily takes place in Kabul, Afghanistan during the 1970s, but also travels to Fremont, California in America. These settings differed not only geographically but socially as well. On one hand, Afghanistan, known for its landlocked location, suffered extreme political turmoil. The Afghan society proved to play an integral role in the work as the Pashtun versus Hazara separation influenced the way in which Amir and SF treat Hassan. Along with this, the Afghan morals followed Baba and Amir in their journey to America as Baba struggles to conform to American society. America, with its open borders, offered Amir a place to bury his sins in the river known as America. However, it still had some piece of Afghanistan which could be seen in the flea market that many Afghans visit on weekends, including Baba and Amir. Both settings offered significant obstacles to Amir and Baba, but no matter where they were, the guilt that they both felt never left them. In 1973, Daud Khan overthrew the King Zahir Shah, which resulted in the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan, which had strong ties to the USSR. In 1978, Khan was killed by a military coup, and Afghanistan experienced a communist rise in power, which resulted in a Soviet invasion that drove many Afghans, including Baba and Amir, out in Kabul. And that's just some context as to what was going on in Afghanistan during the Kite Runner. One of my favorite quotations is when Hosseini states that, and that's the thing about people who mean everything they say. They think everyone else does too. This quote stuck with me because it brought my attention to how naive we can be for the people we love and trust so dearly. It is so easy to give your trust to someone, and it is just as easy for them to take advantage of that, which I think is kind of a sad reality of being human. Another quote is, it's wrong to hurt even bad people because they don't know any better and because bad people sometimes become good. This quote put a lot of the book into perspective for me. This quote is the reason why Hassan forgave Amir despite everything that he did to him, and what Hassan passed on to his son, and now his son to Amir. I think this quote holds a very deep sentiment that we can all learn from. And another quote is, America was different. America was a river roaring along, unmindful of the past. I could wade into this river, let my sins drown to the bottom, let the waters carry me someplace far, someplace with no ghosts, no memories, and no sins. I like this quote because I believe that it holds a statement that is true to America. On one hand, America is the land of the free and a place to run to. However, it's also a river unmindful of its past and the painful journey that it has caused others to get to where it is today. I think this quote holds very true to America today and is something that we should be reminded of at times. Something unique discoveries that I found is similar to Amir, the author Khaled Hosseini also grew up in Kabul, Afghanistan, and sought asylum in America due to the turmoil in Afghanistan, which I believe made the book more realistic and more personal. Along with this, in 2006, Khaled was appointed a Goodwill Ambassador of the UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency. Inspired by a trip he made to Afghanistan with the UNHCR, he later established the Khaled Hosseini Foundation nonprofit, which provides humanitarian assistance to the people of Afghanistan. I believed it was cool that Hosseini used his book to not only spread awareness about Afghanistan, but also provide for those in need. Another discovery that I found is, having read another work by Hosseini, A Thousand Splendid Suns, it was super interesting to see Afghanistan from so many different perspectives, and being able to connect different things within the book, like culture and the difference in a man's perspective and a woman's perspective. Another unique discovery that I found is that in 1979, America cut off all assistance to Afghanistan after an American ambassador was killed, and I thought this was an interesting discovery because it shows America's involvement during all the background in the book. For one of the cool ideas I got from the one of the lit crits was humanity is driven by the guilt of mankind. Every advancement we make is because we have guilt towards something that we as individuals or we as a population have done. I believe that this would be helpful in a Q3 essay because it contributes to a universal theme that all humanity shares. The idea that guilt is what drives humanity can be used to describe why Amir sent Hassan away and why Baba could never fully accept Amir. Along with this, I can also use this idea to show how redemption can be found along the path of guilt like Amir did when he was offered a way to be good again. Another idea is unlike the Amir that is presented in the beginning of the novel, the Amir that faces this up is a strong man, set on his reasons and willing to fight for his beliefs. The sudden change in Amir's character is like a second coming of age. He has reached a level where he's beyond reproach. He's untouchable and unwavering in his decision. When Asaf suggests a fight to the death in Sarab, it is what Amir has been waiting for, pain and the redemption that comes with it. I believe this idea would be helpful in a Q3 essay because it highlights both the cyclical way that Amir is back in the same place as he was in Ali so many years ago, but also a huge shift in Amir's character. He is no longer the cowardly boy that he once was, but is now a man with purpose. And using this idea, I can also show how, through guilt and redemption, one can be a stronger person because of it. From How to Fly Kite for Dummies, I thought that the idea that unfortunately loyalty requires a willingness to sacrifice oneself in love for another would be helpful for a Q3 essay because this idea could be used to show how the journey to redemption that Amir embarks on throughout, because this idea could be used to show the journey to redemption that Amir embarks on throughout the book. Hassan exhibits his capability to sacrifice early in the book. However, it is not until Amir fights Asaf until the death for Sarab that Amir learns what true sacrifice is. This sentiment can further emphasize what it takes to achieve true redemption. Another one I found is, either way, Amir has overcome his fears and discovers his identity as a human being. I think this idea directly correlates with the human condition, which is the focal point of a Q3 essay. As humans, our journey consists of achieving self-knowledge, which is one of the forces that drives Amir's journey. In this, Amir reaches his goal after earning redemption and therefore being a human being. And from the Kite Runner from a Marxist perspective, I found that ultimately his desire but inability to accept Hassan stifled their relationship and tear Amir apart. This idea would be helpful in a Q3 because it highlights the internal and external conflict that Amir is plagued with. On one hand, Amir has to uphold his status as a Pashtun in Afghan society and only consider Hassan as a servant. However, he knows deep down that Hassan is so much more to him, which is what makes the guilt that Amir faces so extreme. Another one is, it isn't until Amir tells Hassan to leave him alone for good that Hassan, an ever-faithful pup, obeys and leaves his master alone. This heartbreaking metaphor serves to both show Hassan's inferiority as a Hazara to Amir, a Pashtun, but also Hassan's detrimental and unwavering loyalty to Amir, his master. This metaphor would be helpful in a Q3 essay because it entails the extent of Hassan's loyalty as well as the idea that being human also means belonging to someone or something. Hassan's one true desire is Amir's friendship, and Amir holds that above him, which can also contribute to the theme of cruelty, as well as the guilt that drives Amir and his every action. Overall, I love this book. I believe that The Kite Runner is such a necessary novel to read because not only does it educate on the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan and the hardships that people face, but it also shows how life is not as forgiving and welcoming as fairy tales tell us it is. In reading this book, I've become more educated on the human condition and why we do the things we do, like the way guilt drives us in so many of our actions. This novel is crucial to our understanding of humanity. Equally as important, The Kite Runner allowed me to see life through different eyes and understand humanity in a new way. No matter how angry Amir and his decisions made me and how my heart broke for Hassan, I kept wanting to read more, not only because of the anticipation, but because of what I was learning. I truly believe that this book needs to be read by everybody because of the journey that you go on with Amir and what you learn about yourself along the way.